Hello. I'll just wait and let people join in. And in the meantime, I guess I will just chat amongst ourselves while we wait for people to arrive and for me to answer your questions. It's totally normal Wednesday night for me to be sitting here with a light ring on and heaps of makeup. Just an average night for me. I've got my cup of tea. I hope that you have a drink too. And I'm looking forward to talking Frankenstein makes her match. Um, Not awkward at all, just to sit here talking to yourself and your computer. Oh, hi, Carolyn. Thank you for joining. I want to thank anyone who joins tonight, considering that Heartbreak High has just dropped on Netflix in Australia. I mean, I know what I'll be doing after this. All 90s kids can go. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Sharon. Thank you for being here. Well, my name is Sally Thorne. I am a Canberra author. I am best known for my debut book, The Hating Game, which came out in 2016, and I can't believe we're still talking about it. But it's a movie now starring Missy Hale and Austin Stowell, which is on Amazon Prime at the moment. If you wanted to watch that, and I'm saying hi to Zoe and Melissa as well. Lynn is my biggest fan, my aunt. She's bought many copies, which is lovely. And, well, um, I'm ready to answer some questions. I guess I should probably tell you a little bit about what Angelika is about. Imagine that Victor Frankenstein, the literary character, that sister, she was there all along. And while he was reanimating a man in his groundbreaking experiment, she was right beside him, attempting to address her current love life situation, which is there are no more suitors coming up the hill to Blackthorn Manor. While Victor's working on his man, Angelika is working on hers. She selects her dream man from the morgue, makes him herself from a variety of, and there's a lightning crack, and he sits up. He's alive, but he has total amnesia, and he really wants to just find out what his life was like before he died. So Angelika very reluctantly assists. I think she was rather hoping that he would sit in the guest bedroom and she could bring him a breakfast in bed on a tray and he might gradually fall in love with her. But things are never as simple as that when you take matters into your own hands and you don't leave it up fate. You create your own solution. So I'll just check to see if we have any questions. Sharon's asked, have I always wanted to be an author? Well, I think if I told myself when I was 8 years old that I'm an author now, I would have been ecstatic. I didn't really know that it was a possible job to have, but I've loved writing creatively since I was a child, and yeah, I feel like I've really stumbled my way into this incredible dream job, slightly stressful job sometimes, but it's the best job that I'll ever have in my life. So, okay, so let's see. Jasmine asked, how did I come up with the idea of Angelika? This is my lockdown book, and the publishers have probably all gotten slightly strange books from authors as they were locked down. I was locked down in Canberra, and I was editing my second book, First Impressions, and I wanted to start something new. So I opened a blank document, and I didn't know what I was going to write. I just intended to just write nonsense, and I wrote sentence something like, Angelika Frankenstein knew the physical characteristics her dream man should have. Unfortunately, she had to find them at the morgue. And I was very surprised. I'd never thought that sentence before in my entire life, and I certainly didn't know how I knew who Angelika was, why her name was spelt with a K. So I just read it and I went down the rabbit hole. And I was also inspired by my dollhouse, which you can see behind me here. This is a real dollhouse. This isn't a background. This is my huge, elaborate Victorian Gothic mansion that was custom built for me over 10 years ago. So it was a bit neglected and it was a bit run down, just like the house in the book. As I was writing the book, I realized that I recognized the house that I was describing. It was the house that's been behind me all along. So I love that they have a cameo and be a character. So the house is called Blackthorn Manor, and it's also the same in the book. Joy Bell has asked me, how many books have you written? Angelika is my 4th book. So we have The Hating Game, 99% Mine, Second First Impressions, and now Angelika. What did I do for a day job before I started writing? I worked as a contract manager in the Australian Public Service. It was incredibly dry. And the rest of my life, but The Hating Game really came along. I wrote that for a friend as a gift and really fell into publishing in a really delightful and unexpected way. So yeah, just worked in an office, and maybe that's why I set the first book in an office. Some people that were pretty bored. Rachel, oh, that's a cool question. If I was creating my own dream man, what particular muscle anatomical would he need? Oh, Rachel, I see where you're going with this. I think I would make him as tall as possible. I would definitely give him really long limbs, and he'd probably stand up and be like 7'3", something like that. All the guys in my books are really tall, and my husband is 6'5" as well. So, um, Linda asked me, am I going to get another extension built for the dollhouse behind me? Maybe a laboratory. I'm going to be getting a little a widow's walk put up on the roof up there. So that is coming. And if you like my dollhouse, it actually has its own Instagram account, which I know sounds silly, but anyway. So you can go on Instagram and you can see the dollhouse at Blackthorn Manor. Yeah, stay tuned. I'm always trying to evolve it and do cool things with it. It's fun. Thank you, Jasmine. Yes, I love my dollhouse too. What authors and novels inspire my writing? Well, I was really a fan of rom-coms back in the mid-90s. I loved that first rom-com wave, and I think I'm really inspired by that. So we're talking the Bridget Jones, Marion Keyes is the queen, and you know, I guess really obviously I was inspired by Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, and I think it's kind of cool that during my COVID lockdown, I basically wrote some Frankenstein fan fiction, and it was published. So yeah, I think that I mean, I haven't read the original Frankenstein for a few years now. This book, you don't have to have read Frankenstein. Um, I think most people can, if like, even if they haven't read the book, they still know the basic premise and they can imagine it in their minds. So the book, you know, if you've done your PhD on Frankenstein, I'm sure you're going to write me an email about this saying that it's like totally inaccurate. It wasn't intended like that. It was just my take on it, and yeah, it's in the spirit of fan fiction, which is what I started writing before I was ever published. I wrote fiction, which used to be my secret shame, but I don't care anymore. It's how I met Christina and Lauren, who write together as Christina Lauren. They were writing fan fiction at the same time. they introduced me to my agent, and how I got published. So, in many ways, this is a full circle kind of moment. Yeah, so that touches, I guess I've answered Sarah's question there a little bit. How did I get into this? I was just really bored in that office. I really wanted a hobby. Didn't have money. I didn't really have to buy any equipment. I already had a computer. And I was searching around for a hobby, and I thought, oh yeah, I used to love writing when I was younger. Before I had to write a million things for university, and before I got my brain sucked out in that office. So I did a short writing class just at a local TAFE here in Canberra, and yeah, I just started writing just for myself, and I started writing fan fiction because I that it was back on my writing style, and yeah, it was just a really cool, fun thing to do. Um, Marion, you've asked me from Canberra. My books aren't actually set in Australia, but are there any restaurants or buildings inspired over all four books? Um, my my first three books aren't really set anywhere. That's probably fairly noticeable if you're someone that prefers a book and in a total, you know, in a really distinctive place. I like to write my books set anywhere so that you can imagine it wherever you want. I think I like the reader to be able to use their imagination as they're reading. So, Angelika is the first book that I've written that's actually set in a definite location of Salisbury in England. Um, but yeah, no, I haven't taken any inspiration from anything local here in Canberra. Wherever the book has been set, the first three books, for example, The Hating Game is basically in an office, and that office is their world because they are there all of the time working. So I like to create, I really enjoy forced proximity as a trope, and so I like to create that insular kind of feel when I'm writing a book. Um, Thank you, Michelle, for saying that you like the everywhereness of the books. It's funny when a UK editor got a copy of The Hating Game, she said, I loved that you set it in London. And I said, oh, no, it's not set. It's not set in London. It's not set anywhere. And I just like that she said that because she was imagining just setting it in her own city in her own imagination. So yeah, and I think it's also helped the book. That first book has been sold in 26 countries, and it means that wherever you are in the world, you can imagine that office. That's Jasmine, do I have any advice for aspiring writers? Yeah, just definitely just write. You need to enjoy doing it. You need to be the kind of person that just likes, putting words together and moving sentences around, and just, set aside a time for yourself on Sunday afternoons. Even if you're busy with work, just try to make some time for yourself. It can be just an hour, and just try writing anything. Just write a short story, what you like best. Whatever the book is that you want to grab off the shelf, that you can't find anywhere, I think that's the book that you need to write. Don't try to uh, chase any kind of trends. You don't know what's going to be the next big thing. When I wrote The Hating Game, rom-coms were not a thing. All the books were still pretty sort of sexy, and the covers were all black, and it was felt like a little bit more vampire-y. So if I'd written, that trend, I wouldn't have written my first book at all. But if something's really good, it will find its audience. That book did. Zoe's asked me, is there any other plans making any of your other books into movies? Uh, yes, I've got some interest in optioning Second First Impressions, which is a book set in a retirement village. Uh, and it's about a girl who's very old. She's in her 20s, but she feels like she's in her 80s. And then on a breeze, just like Mary Poppins, the son of the owner of the retirement village blows in and needs a job and totally upends her life. And there's a really cute cast of the elderly residents, and I think that would be such a great movie because I think I don't think there's enough movies where you can take your grandma to the movies. I would love for that to be a movie as well. And Angelika, I mean, let's just put it out to the universe that I would like BBC hot miniseries. I want to be on set. I want to be in England. I want to be patting carriage horse. I want to be an extra. I will be a wench in the background. Absolutely. So it's currently watch this space, but I've got a very good film agent who can see the potential in my different books. So who knows? Lightning might strike twice. It's very, very difficult to get a book made into a movie. It's one of those things where you just like on a shooting star. um, and you've then asked me, were I happy with how the movie turned out for the Hating Game? Oh yeah, definitely. I thought it was totally great. I loved it. It was very surreal watching it. Watching a custom-made movie to your exact specifications, including the dialogue that you want and characters that like actors that are perfect for the roles for your brain to handle, or in my case, it certainly was. But I just loved it. I felt like it was kept the spirit of the book, you know, very unusual indie movie, quirky, and it kept the kind of tender spirit of the book. It's really a book about like lonely people and um, how when you're at work and you're stuck at work, that it can become your world. Those people can become like your family, and yeah, I loved it. Lucy Hale was it. When I talked to her about you know, thanking her for taking on the role, she said, this character is so similar to me that I almost don't feel like I'm going to have to work too hard. You know, she's cute and quirky and sassy like that character. So, I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more than that. And Austen, of course, is gorgeous, and the supporting cast as well. For me, what really made that movie, everybody, even an extra, you know, they were just putting everything into it, and it was really a lot of cute, quirky, physical comedy. Is like my favorite bit in the movie, I think, is when Danny goes to walk towards the elevator and he's tries to hit the button for it, but it's on the wrong side. I'm just like, what kind of genius comes up with that? It was just so funny. So yeah, really happy. Jasmine's asked me, do I plan on writing any more historical fiction? Well, it really depends on how Angelica goes. If it's enjoyed and people like it, I would love to write a prequel about Victor Frankenstein. So that is something I would love to do because I know what I would write. Scenario, that one. It's fun when you're writing. You can think about different tropes that you like and how you would put your spin on it. Yeah, so who knows? But it's tricky because I've written 3 contemporary romances now. I've written a historical, and now people are asking me what's next, and I really am not sure. I'm not sure what my next move's going to be. So yeah, we'll see. Let me just catch up on the chat here. Do I get a say in the covers for my books? Yeah, yeah, you do. You get an email from your publisher. Well, in this case, they said to me, "What can you imagine it would look like?" So I sent them a big list of just basically nonsense words. I wrote things like wallpaper, cameos, framed portraits, needles and thread, rings, um, classic fairy tale looking book. Um, and yeah, they sent me back. about 4 different options, and then they're all in different colorways as well, and it's just a lot of people all just, like, looking at covers for a long time, trying to work out what's gonna stand out on the cover. I think it's just so great. I love the details of the thread, like the stitches along there, and there's the rings that I asked for. Angelika and her creation, who she names Will, until they try to work out what his real name is. And it's got that great fairy tale look. And I'm also just so thrilled to have a book that has a map in the front. That's just a life dream that I didn't know that I had. The book has a map of the Frankenstein estate at the front, and it was cool. It was fun to. I actually just got a sheet of paper and sketched it out for the artist to show them what I think it would look like. And yeah, it's just another cool life moment that you know I've had so many lucky and wonderful things happening for me, and that was just all icing on the cake at this point. So yeah. What did I enjoy most about the writing process? Oh, the whole thing's really hard, to be honest. When I'm writing, it really is. Sometimes it comes easy, and that might be at 1 a.m. in the morning. Suddenly, I'll hit a rare patch of flow and be able to write and write and write till I collapse. And then other times, I can only get 30 words done for the whole day. So it's an unpredictable process for me. It's true of Virgo, so I really wish that I could set myself a daily target and just achieve that and then log off, but it's much more chaotic than you would think. I think I like doing that first draft because, I don't actually plot it out. I am finding out things as I go along, and, sometimes I'm finding out things, that really surprise me. That's why I don't, write out a plot because, yeah, I wanna be surprised. Um, you loved the turtles in Second First Impressions. Sorry, my pug is locked out of this room behind a baby gate and she's coughing to try to get my attention. So if you hear anything weird, it is a pug. um, yes, there's turtles in Second First Impressions. There is a really big pig in Angelika Frankenstein. So um, yeah, I enjoy putting animals in two books, and those were just a really cute little addition to Second First Impressions. Just I liked imagining them just roaming slowly around the property, and yeah, it's fun. I've got a soft spot for that book. I think it's really cozy and cuddly. And how would I describe Angelica? What's the vibe for Angelica? It's just like nighttime. This book. It's I think American readers, they're just going to really dig it. It's just a lot of, it's not heavy historical. There's lots of corpses and candlesticks and carriages and big dresses, but it's not heavy. It's, I hope, still really easy to read and still feels contemporary. Um, and yeah, I really enjoyed writing it. I did a lot of incidental research as I was going. I would write and when were candles invented? So I pretty much Googled every second word in the whole book. And then even then at the copy editing stage, this poor copy editor had to go through and be like, carriages didn't have windows at this time. And I was like, oh, okay. So again, I said, Frankenstein fans don't come for me. If you're an expert in England in 1814, if you're an expert in Mary Shelley lore, um, I just had, let me have this, guys. It was a pandemic. I really just needed to take a big risk, and I'm glad that it paid off. Well, I hope it did. Um, Natalie's asked, is there a genre that I want to write that I haven't? For sure. I would love to write something really, really left field, something like, for example, the Ice Planet Barbarians series by Ruby Dixon. I just love it. I think it's a riot. If you haven't read that, um, they're big blue aliens on an ice planet, and it's this whole huge series. They have tails, they have horns, and I just always think to myself, man, I'd love to do that. I'd love to write a something just like a big series in a world where I have to like build the whole world. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I would love to write a cyborg book. There's so many different things that I would love to write. Um, and yeah, I'd love to try writing a children's book one day. And yeah, like that's a fun thing, hopefully, about this job is that I can just keep trying different things, and hopefully the my publisher sticks with me and says sure. Jasmine, you've asked me, is it difficult to write a retelling of the novel that already exists? Not really difficult, I don't think, because I wasn't trying to align my story with the original story and what happens in that story. This is more like a fan fiction style. I've borrowed the characters, I've borrowed the setting, them like dolls in my dollhouse, and I'm just moving them around and having fun with it. So uh, if I stopped in the middle of it and thought to myself, someone that is, a Frankenstein expert is going to, totally roast this, I'd freeze up and probably not be able to continue writing. So you just have to put those thoughts aside and hope that it's received in the spirit it was intended. um, Michelle, you'd read a sci-fi romance from me. Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, I've got one copy sold, and my Aunt Lynn, she'll buy the rest. Zoe, how much input does my husband have on the creative writing process? Haha. Well, he's always around, so if I get stuck, or if I want to complain about how hard writing is, he's always my victim that I can go and say, I can't write, it's too hard, I'm not any good at this. And he'll say, that's nonsense, keep going. And he did um, help me. And in particular, with the ending, there's a cute little, sort of a twisty little loophole bit in the book that he helped me think of. So I probably should have given him more credit than I did, but you know. Uh, let's see. Is there a particular chapter or moment in the book that's my favorite? Yeah, there's two bits. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't read it yet. Um, Angelika and Will go back to the morgue. That's their first port of call to try to work out who he is, where did he come from. He's quite surprised that that a ledger of bodies is not produced. They don't know where they come from. And yeah, there's a bit where he realizes the full extent of what Angelika did for him, and he kind of says, now that I realize I thank you for the rest of my life, which is one of my favorite parts. And there's another part later on in the book when they walk up a hill to a chapel in a forest, and they sit together in this old rundown chapel. And it's quite, yeah, I think it's a lovely scene, and I'm really proud of it. So, yeah. Um, let's see. Did I have to do any research for second and first impressions? Yeah, for sure. You always try to do a little bit, but again, recognizing that people are not picking up that book to learn about how a retirement village operates. I'm a romance author, and I know that what you guys are picking that book up for is the relationship and having those two people preferably in the same room all the time. That's what I like. But yeah, I did research on tortoises, and I think I spent an awful lot of time researching tortoises, and I ended up inventing my own species of golden bonnet tortoises. And they were inspired actually because I used to drive down a road near my house that when it rained, a lot of tortoises would decide to try to cross the road. It was incredibly stressful for me, so I would usually pull over, and I had some special gloves in the boot of my car, and I would put my gloves on, and I would pick up the tortoise, and depending on which way its head was pointing, I would take it to the side of the road that it was traveling to, because I couldn't bear the thought of them getting run over. So yeah, that's, little things like that from your life can end up being in the books in unexpected ways. Um, Question from Jasmine. Thank you for asking so many questions, by the way, Jasmine, Natalie, and Zoe. Who was my favorite character to write in this novel? I mean, I enjoyed writing Victor. I think I really like writing brother, sister, and sibling dynamics. So it was fun to write Victor and Angelika as brother and sister. And of course, Victor, I made him tall, incredibly muscular, bright red hair, um, pearly white abs, and he's always doing chin ups. So, you know, you know, I'm a romance author. And he really didn't put up with any of Angelika's nonsense, because she starts out the book being quite a spoiled young lady. But as the book goes on, she learns about her privilege and how she can make a difference in the place where she lives, and what love is all about, and the sacrifices that you have to make for love. And we have to ultimately wonder, can Will even survive what was done to him in the name of science and love? So that's a poster anyway, when it's a movie or a BBC miniseries. Okay, well, I think that I've probably chatted to you guys long enough. I really hope that you can pick up a copy of Angelika Frankenstein Makes Her Match. You should be able to get that in most bookstores, Harry Hartog and Dimmicks and BW Kmart. We'll be getting it next week, I think. And yeah, I really hope you enjoy it. If you do, please let your friends know that you liked it. Word of mouth has been the it's the most important way for a book to get onto bookshelves. So I appreciate you all joining me. Thank you so much. And yeah, what a great bunch of questions you've asked me tonight. So thank you so much. Now let's all go and watch Heartbreak High. Get into our pajamas. And yeah, I think I might leave you here. So from me and from Blackthorn Manor, take care, and yeah, thanks for joining me tonight.